my friends. Our Van Friday. Van Connor, one of the country's leading film critics with 1, 2, 3 Freeview film recommendations for your consideration. I see Van's 3, match them with 3 of my own, and we offer them for your, just to tempt you maybe. Set the record button. Try something new. Something new is what Van's offering, and I've got a couple of old favourites of mine on the way. But first of all, let's say good morning to Van. How's your week been, Van? Welcome back, matey. How you doing?
I'm all good, Mr. Ross. Thank you. Pleasure to be back, as always. I've got a film recommendation for you this week from my week.
Oh, go on then.
If you feel good going to a cinema in town, so you need to get out from today and go and see The Last Duel.
Oh, the Ridley Scott film.
Yeah. Exactly. I never thought I would get to say the words, Ben Affleck deserves an Oscar for his supporting role in that Ridley Scott movie, but, it's 2021. Here we are.
And didn't him and Matt Damon, who's also in it, have a hand in the script, or polishing the script, I think?
They do. Ridley Scott's new movie has is co-written by the Good Will Hunting guys reuniting. It's mental. It's a really good, really interesting film, and you'll never get over Matt Damon's mullet, I tell you.
And it's got Jodie Comer as well, of course, from Killing Eve, so I'll be checking that one out. That's The Last Duel, the very latest from Ridley Scott. I mean, I don't think he's ever been as busy. He's now in his early 80s, isn't he? He'll be heading for space next with William Shatner.
He's a pretty busy man. He seems to churn. I feel like about 2 or 3 months since the last Ridley Scott movie, I think. Great
film director. Okay, and you've got an interesting recommendation for us for tonight. Halloween's on the way. Halloween Kills, the second in the brand new trilogy with Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, I think is out this weekend. And you've gone for the 2018 version of Halloween, which is on, I think, BBC One tonight, 11:25, just before the witching hour. Tell us a bit about this one, Ben. I think we all kind of know the setup, don't we?
We kind of do. This was the Halloween movie that we knew was sort of coming eventually. We had a rough draft of this exactly 20 years previous in the form of Halloween H20. What this does is goes back to the drawing board. Halloween 1 in 1978 is the only one that happened now, the John Carpenter original. This is now an alternative Halloween 2. So this takes place 40 years later and sees Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, having effectively gone full Linda Hamilton.
Right.
She's locked herself in a reclusive, farmhouse just outside of Haddonfield. She's set up all the traps. She's armed herself to the teeth, and she lives in wait for the day that Michael Myers, the serial killer who attacked her and her friends on that fateful night in 1978, returns, which he, of course, does.
Of course he does.
Yeah, of course he does, because he's a horror movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this time around, he escapes thanks to the machinations of all things, a pair of interfering true crime podcasters, who you'll hear in this clip trying to pitch Laurie Strode to do an interview about her traumatic experience. Because obviously they made this movie when true crime podcasts were at their absolute peak.
Sure.
Exactly. Michael Myers is back. The blood is flowing aplenty, as you'd imagine it will. And this, for some reason, is co-written by Danny McBride, of all people. So on BBC One tonight, the second part of this new trilogy is in cinemas from today, Halloween Kills. And 1 year from today, you get the final part, which is going to be called Halloween Ends.
And this is good scheduling from the B, because a lot of people are going to want to see this before they go and see the new one this weekend, which will do rather well. Jamie Lee Curtis promoting it all over the place. So we've got the clip. It involves a couple of true crime, wheedling-sounding true crime podcasters. 11:25 p.m. tonight, BBC One. It's Halloween 2018.
Michael Myers is a human being who killed his sister when he was 6 years old. And he came after you. We just want to know why. We want a glimpse inside his mind.
Michael Myers murdered 5 people. And he's a human being we need to understand.
They're transferring him.
Tomorrow, 7 o'clock.
He'll be locked away until the end of his days.
That's the idea.
Laurie, we saw him. We met with Michael. I showed him the mask. It was nothing. No response, nothing. He won't talk to anyone. Never has, but I think he might speak with you.
I think Mike Myers is still sulking over the reception to So I Married an Axe Murderer. Isn't that a coincidence that they called him John Carpenter, the genius, called him Michael Myers, and then 15 years later along comes Mike Myers, or even longer?
I mean, personally, I love the idea that Halloween's getting such a resurgence this week and putting the face of William Shatner everywhere the same week the actual dude's gone into space. I mean, that's just weird timing.
Because for those who don't know, of course, the Michael Myers face mask is a William Shatner face mask, but with the eyes made slightly bigger, I think, if memory serves.
I think they've painted it white and cut the eyes out. I think it's on a Captain Kirk mask from, I think, the mid-70s when the reruns were in vogue.
Now, I've gone for something scary in a different way. A brilliant film, this. It's on ITV4, so you might want to set the record for 11 o'clock. It's 11 p.m. tonight, ITV4, for the year 2000. This made a star, in my humble opinion, of Vin Diesel. And he went on to make some great films, the Fast and the Furious franchise, some all-rightish, like the Triple X films, some others that were frankly, like the first sequel to this, I thought rubbish. But Pitch Black is a brilliant film, and I know you're a big fan of this film, because basically it's got a kind of prison ship transporting this to the most dangerous man in the galaxy, who may or may not be completely human, played by Vin Diesel. There is, of course, a spacecraft crash. They land on a planet. There are 9 survivors. Riddick, the Vin Diesel character, goes missing, and then the fun starts when they realise there are these hideous, massive number of these carnivorous creatures who only thrive when it's pitch black. Guess what? There's going to be an eclipse on the way. Great setup for this film, though, isn't there, Van?
It's a corker of one. Like, it's a proper stripped-down old-school horror movie dressed up as an expensive sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But then made on the cheap because they've clearly gone and filmed this in, like, the Australian desert to save money cover. It's a really good, really powerful movie. Props to Radha Mitchell in this, as well as the sort of put-upon surviving pilot or member of the crew. Keith David, as well, as the priest. I think he carries over to the following sequel as well. Cole Hauser, who becomes a part of the series mythology. But of course, it is all about Vin Diesel, this was a real breakout role. He had a small role, I think, in Saving Private Ryan. He'd managed to impress Spielberg and had a hand. I think he directed a sequence in Saving Private Ryan as well.
Oh, did he?
Goes on to, there's one sequence in it that he actually films because Spielberg had hired him for an acting role based on his work as an actor-director in low-budget New York-based films. And then, of course, he uses that clout to get the clout to do Riddick as well. And then you get the whole franchise, the Fast and Furious and the whole thing. But Vin Diesel's star is made immeasurably on the back of this stripped-down, very obviously Australian-influenced sci-fi horror movie that goes on to spawn its own cinematic franchise, its own cinematic universe with video games. There's an animated movie. I think there was a talk of a TV thing at one point. And we're getting a new, supposedly final installment called Furia that is at the pre-production stage right now, I believe. But this is the original and still, I think, best.
It's Pitch Black. It's 11 o'clock tonight. It's ITV4. Here's the trailer.
But it ain't me you gotta worry about now.
Whatever it is that got Zeke and it nearly got me. Get it off me!
They seem to stick to darkness, so if we stick to daylight, we should be all right.
A total eclipse.
Not 2 words you want to hear when you're on a planet where these incredibly dangerous creatures are unstoppable in the dark. There's a total eclipse coming. So that's my recommendation, ITV4 tonight. Looking forward to that. I've seen it a few times. It's a cracker. Pitch Black. Meanwhile, tomorrow you've gone for, film for, I think, 11:20. Tell us about Crawl. Why Crawl? I don't mean cruel. I mean crawl as in crawl along the ground.
Well, we've got such a horror theme going this week that I saw this Alexandra Aya movie on there and thought, I've got to pick this. This is a corker. And, you know, a brilliant horror movie, as we've just sort of demonstrated with Pitch Black and even Halloween. If you make it on, you can make a great chilling horror movie on a very small, confined location. Crawl really does push that to the limit, which is, this is all set largely within a basement during a flood when alligators have somehow found themselves trapped in this, like carnivorous man-eating alligators have found themselves in this basement, and you've got a college-age girl and her injured father, and the dog, funnily enough, trapped in said basement. And it's literally college-age girl, played by Kaya Scodelario, versus alligators. It's a corker. It's a concept thriller with, you know, massive horror overtones. Great supporting turn from Barry Pepper and Alexandra Aya, who, of course, you know, kind of cut his teeth as far as Western audiences are concerned on Switchblade Romance and the Hills Have Eyes remakes of the early 2000s, mid-2000s. Really brings some heft and some style to it. I think this is one of the best of the last few years. It's up there with The Shallows with Blake Lively for me as one of those just fun, frivolous, 90-minute chillers, concept chillers that really delivers the good. Get the popcorn in the microwave, sit down, put this on. You're in for a good time at 20 past 11 on Film for a Saturday night. Perfect time for it.
And you've got a clip for us as well, I think.
I've got a clip with Kaya Scodelario peering down the hatch into the basement trying to figure out where Daddy might be.
Watch out. It's on tomorrow night. It's a cracker. It's called Crawl. Here we go.
Billy! Wait! No, wait! Stop! Stop! Wait, don't come down!
Hey! 2 gators down here. Okay, hold on. Don't move, hold on. Come here, Pete. Need your coffee? Pete, you hear that?
If you were nodding off to sleep then, I can only apologise. You'd have woken right up with those last 2 trailers, but it is a cracking old film, this. Now, I've gone for something rather different on Saturday night, tomorrow night. I was tempted by the Great Movies offering, great as in the title of the channel, now used to be Sony Movies. Die Hard with a Vengeance is on from 1995, which is the second Die Hard film's all right. That's a kind of, that's just treading water. Number 3 is great, though, with Jeremy Irons as Alan Rickman's brother, kind of. It's a good, and Samuel L. Jackson pops up in it. Instead, though, I've gone for an 80s classic from 1986, featuring Bob Hoskins, who's brilliant in it, Michael Caine, who is evil beyond belief. It's also got Robbie Coltrane, long before he was Hagrid in the Harry Potter franchise. It's Mona Lisa, and in it Bob Hoskins' character is a well-meaning, almost slightly simple guy, working for Michael Caine as a kind of fringe criminal, who becomes a driver for Kathy Tyson, who's working as a high-class cool girl. She doesn't want to be doing the job. She's looking for somebody herself. She's very enigmatic. Bob Hoskins falls madly in love with her, and he then has to kind of confront his own past, the kind of moral concessions he's made, the compromise he's made with Michael Caine's hideous, and Michael Caine is amazing in this, one of his best performances. It's on 9 o'clock, tomorrow night, Sunday night, on Talking Pictures TV. It's called Mona Lisa, directed by Neil Jordan, always an interesting film director.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I've got the trailer for it. I mean, it's a beautifully shot, very 80s, but beautifully shot, kind of cold and clinical film. There's some very chilling moments in it, so be warned. Mona Lisa, 1986. It's on tomorrow night, though, 9 o'clock, Talking Pictures TV. Here's the trailer.
She is mysterious, unattainable. He is decent, ordinary.
The business is different, but the rules are still the same.
Dependent upon each other.
Go look at her best. You should notice these things. The little things.
They are different in every way.
Did anybody ever teach you manners? Do you want to work for me? No. Now tell me I'm fired.
All right, you're fired.
Lovely. I'm fired and you're street walking.
A woman.
It's lovely.
And a man.
Yeah. It's lovely.
Looking for something.
Wow, and do they find it? You'll have to join Talking Pictures TV tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And I've also got another recommendation. Very quickly, I'll mention this. This is actually on Great Movies on Sunday night. I've mentioned it before, but I do like this film. Very cold, very European. It's Eric Bana, Saoirse Ronan, who's apparently playing Lady Macbeth at the moment on stage in London. 9 o'clock. It's about the man who's raised this kind of almost genetically enhanced serial killer of the future. A pubescent girl, kind of adolescent girl called Hannah. It's a film that's 10 years old now. Spawned a TV series, which was okay-ish, but the film, I think, with Cate Blanchett, a cracking movie. And you've also gone for a film about young girls, have you not, Van Connor, but with a slight comedy twist.
Indeed, well, it does focus on. In fact, I've gone for a double bill. I've gone for the highest-grossing film of 1987 and its near-forgotten 1990 sequel. It's of course a double bill of 3 Men and a Baby and 3 Men and a Little Lady, which are both on Great Movies on Sunday afternoon. I think before. This would be 2 or 3 films before Hannah on Sunday night, so you can actually stick with the channel for the day. 3 Men and a Baby and 3 Men and a Little Lady, which stars Steve Guttenberg, Ted Danson and Tom Selleck. And I think this was the height of fame for all of them. I know Ted Danson's having something of a resurgence at the moment, but this was the height of fame for all 3 of them. You had, Selleck was finishing up Magnum P.I., Guttenberg was 2 films into Police Academy at that point. Ted Danson was still on
But I think Guttenberg had done Cocoon as well, I think, by then.
Oh, yes. Yeah. About the same year, I think, the year before, in fact. This also made, I think it was the late, great Leonard Nimoy, the highest grossing director of any Star Trek actor. Something William Shatner spent his entire career trying to rival. This overtook A Fatal Attraction.
It also guaranteed that every 50s compilation had that Spaniel song, Good Night, Sweetheart. That very sweet scene where they sing the little girl. Basically, we all know the setup, but a baby girl's been abandoned. They find her. They look after her. They think one of them's they know, pretty sure one of them's the father. But they're 3 guys living this kind of bachelor dream together, and there's a sort of organised crime element to it as well. I think it's based on a French film, isn't it? Wasn't it a remake of a French movie?
It is a remake of a French movie, and the French movie that is actually a trilogy, because until as recently as I think about 2010, Disney were making the third one, that was in I think it was in early development. It was called Three Men and a Bride.
God, it would have been three old granddads and a bride if they got the original cast back, wouldn't it? Three Zimmer frames and a bride.
I was going to say, have you seen Ted Danson lately? The man looks like he's been scared to death. He's having the time of his life, but he's white as snow on the hair front now. I will say, though, this is now being remade by Disney with Zac Efron, of all people. But if you want to see the original, which I'm sure is still going to be the best, check this out from 2:20 on Sunday. Double bill, they're both back-to-back. I've got a clip for you of Selick and Gutenberg trying to change a nappy for the first time, which is just delivered in that vintagely blunt way that I don't think you would do outside of the late 80s anymore.
Here we go. It's Three Men and a Baby followed by Three Men and a Lady. Sunday afternoon on Great Movies. Enjoy.
All right, so now these tape things go in the front or the back?
How am I supposed to know?
Okay. There. Whoa! These diapers are way too big. What size did you get? They're ultra absorbent. The more absorbent, the better, if you ask me. Will you hold it for a minute? The kid's going crazy. I
don't want him.
Come on, Michael.
Hey, don't pull that so hard. It's going to rip.
I'm not going to rip it.
Yes, you are.
All right, well, okay. Get me another diaper. I'll use the tape. I'll use the tape from the diaper. I'll tape it up. I'm an architect, for Christ's sakes. I build 50-story skyscrapers. I assemble cities of the future. I can certainly put together a goddamn diaper. Take it easy, kid. All right?
I love that. Take it easy, kid. To a newborn baby. And remind us when we can hear you and our Monday regular Rebecca Perfect's in podcast format. It's out later on today, I think, isn't it, off screen?
In fact, in about 83 minutes time. So 6 a.m. on podcast platforms, you can pick up the week's off-screen show, ultimate guide to everything movie for the next 7 days, streaming, cinema, DVD, the works. And there's a lot out on DVD this next week, weirdly.
Brilliant stuff. So keep ahead of the game. I listen each and every week. It's a cracking listen. It's off screen, available from all good and some mediocre podcast providers. Nothing mediocre, though, about our top Friday guest, Van Connor, with his Freeview film recommendations. On the way, the Met Office are going to tell us about the weekend weather for game day. The return of game day, of course, tomorrow. Watford versus Liverpool, 12:30, under the auspices now of Claudio Ranieri. That's going to be a cracker. Details on that on the way. Met Office on the way, and we're live till 5.
As the weekend approaches, make sure